So I'm on my way home from the gym right now, and I wanted to hop on here and talk about the pros and the cons of having a belt system for martial arts. So let's start with the cons. One of the things that I have realized with a belt system where you rank it from white to black, almost like a Taekwondo traditional system, is that a lot of people, even myself at one point, you can really get carried away with getting the tips. So essentially, when you have a belt, there's 4 to 5 tips that you get for kicking, for boxing, for Thai combos, for grappling, different stuff like that. And you can get lost in the desire to constantly get a tip or a new belt. The problem with this is that a lot of these things will lack proper pressure testing if you're only focused on getting the tip and not going to classes like sparring. So when you're sparring and grappling or striking, you're really pressure testing the different techniques that you are using or that you're being taught, and you're trying to embody these techniques, right? So when you have this type of system at play and you have a lot of people who are avoiding sparring time, you're essentially progressing, but you're also having a lot of false confidence with the program that you are trying to develop within your own skill set. What I mean by false confidence is that if you actually had to defend yourself in real life, how much of that stuff would you actually know how to use on another human being who's trying to attack you? Because you can't have martial arts without the component of fighting. If you had that, you would be doing martial arts as a fitness class. It wouldn't be for self-defense, combative purposes. So anything that I see that is not adequately pressure tested at this point, to me, there shouldn't be that much time being spent on those elements of training. I feel like I could go a lot deeper in that topic. So I'll just kind of unpack that a little bit more. When you have something like kata or forms, it's not that these things are bad or that they shouldn't be practiced, but the way that we practice them today is almost a form of a dance. It's like a choreographed dance. And a lot of people, when you ask them, hey, why are we using these forms? They don't know how to explain it. They don't really understand forms because they never really have actually utilized the different forms in an actual fight. So they don't even know how to explain it. And one of the things that you can take away from forms is muscular endurance. For instance, when you're sitting in a horse stance, you are using the power type muscles within your hips, within your legs, and it's hard to sit in a horse stance. A horse stance can also warm your body up after something like a cold plunge. It fires your body up at a very fast rate, and it takes a lot of energy to sit in a horse stance. A horse stance, you'll typically find that you will transition into a power sidekick, right? Or a lot of power type moves. Even a front stance in kata could be very, very positive if you use it to help out your sparring, to help out your different power techniques, because essentially you're entering into a power stance in a front stance, right? So you're incorporating and developing those muscles that you would use for a really strong jab or a really strong cross, okay? And when our ancestors used to use these katas, they were for warfare. They were for actual hand-to-hand combat. They weren't just for choreographed dances. So to me, I think that they've really been watered down over time, and that we still utilize them even though they're watered down techniques because they're pretty simple and easy to learn, and you don't have to pressure test them, right? You don't have to go through rigorous amounts of sparring to actually see if a kata or a form works. So I like using different forms of kata and integrating that into my fitness. Like I'll hold a horse stance, okay, or I'll hold a horse stance and breathe left to right with using my arms after a cold plunge to warm my body back up, or I'll hold a lunging position that's pretty much a front stance for a minute to 2 minutes to see how long I could actually sit and hold that position. So these are some of the cons about a belting system, is that you can really get carried away with wanting to just earn the black belt or earn the tip, and you lose sight of the actual journey, which is becoming a martial artist. Like, we can't forget about the word martial, right? Like a combative artist. And if you take any kickboxer or jiu-jitsu athlete or MMA athlete and you put them in a street self-defense situation, they're the people who are going to thrive, the people who actually know and understand combative arts, right? Because all of those arts have competition and they're adequately pressure tested. So that's how you can determine your skill, is when you test under pressure against resisting opponents, resisting partners, and you actually see what works. So the cons, or the pros of a belting system, there's a lot of pros. Personally, I found that when you have a belting system, it becomes a lot more about the journey. Like when I first got into martial arts, the traditional side of it, my lead instructor who I came up under really didn't focus on competition at all. And I really loved that, because I felt like my whole life it's just been a competition, like constant comparison, constant like trying to achieve something to look cool in front of other people. And I really liked that for one time in my life, it wasn't necessarily about competition. Now, to say that competition shouldn't exist within like a martial arts school, that's ridiculous. Competition will get you better. It will propel you forward into your journey. And I think it's, it should be kind of a requirement if you can do it and you're at the age that you can do it. Like we age in dog years in combative arts. Like once you're 33, 35, it starts to become very difficult. So we have to utilize the time that we have at the age that we are when we're young to really develop that competitive drive. I think it's super important. And also to establish a collaborative frame where you're working with people, you're helping your teammates. You learn how to spar in a healthy manner. You're not just rolling up to sparring to dismantle another human being, to just collect bodies mentally. And that's what I don't want. I want to get away from like that real hard aggro sparring. Not that that isn't important in certain times, especially for fight camps, but I want it to be about play, about flow, about collaboration and working with other people, and using that martial art energy for something good to help others succeed. So all in all, the belt system really helps with accountability. It helps establish like that tribe energy, and it gives you something to look forward to, because again, a lot of people don't want to compete. A lot of different kids and adults, they have no desire to step in competition, and to have something that they're actively working towards, like a belt, like a tip, I think it gives it a different mental edge, and it makes you dig deeper, and it allows the focus and commitment to evolve over time. So those are some of my thoughts on the pros and cons of a belt system, and I hope you guys got something out of that. I will be getting belts this upcoming week, starting with white belts, and yeah, I'm looking forward to training with anybody who is interested. Thanks for listening, and have a great rest of your day.